Superman number 28. Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason writing, Scott Godlewski on art. So, last issue we were fairly critical. We liked kind of the intent behind the issue, but we thought it was a bit preachy, a little bit too on the nose, a little bit too much of explaining things to John. It felt a bit forced, all those kind of things, and ultimately made it a bit of a weird read. I missed that issue after this one.
I missed that after the first 2 pages. I thought the first 2 pages were decent enough.
Oh, sure, yeah. The first 2 pages and the last couple of pages are good. Like, the ending's quite nice, but...
Well, the ending's nice because it's over.
Well, no, I think it was a sweet moment. Like, at the end, I like that Lois is like, oh, I'm surprised it took you this long, as like Clark's getting up out of bed to go and do his thing. I like that moment. That was nice.
Yeah, because they're not reading off plaques and giving us unnecessary lessons. Like, and that's the main problem. I have no problem if you want to be red, white, and blue and like, hey, this is why this country's great. I don't care, what country it is. If you want to prop up, whatever, there's storytelling. Just don't be ham-fisted about it and have some subtlety.
But here's the thing, though. The last issue was ham-fisted and not subtle. This issue was a textbook.
Yeah.
I mean, right from like the 3rd page where they're outside the Capitol building and they're going, they're telling me about freedom of speech, and Lois like, words are powerful. I'm like, you're both journalists. You think you'd have taught him this at some point already?
You're a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist.
Right,
like,
and even before you go, but she hasn't been a journalist for however long, but she was writing a book.
But it doesn't matter to me as a longtime fan. It's in her DNA.
Yeah, even if she's been retired like John's entire life, like if you're retired, whatever, you're still going to talk to your kids and your grandkids about the principles of what makes you and what you believe in and why you did your thing. Like that's going to be a part of you.
The idea that they're only just saying to him that words are powerful from journalists seems wrong.
Yeah, you're longing for the days of, hey, what's that on the statue? That's graffiti, John. You miss that now, don't you? You miss that.
It's
I get where Tomasi and Gleason are coming from, because especially in this country right now, it's really heated, and I don't think it's been more divided since darker times.
And like, don't get me wrong.
So I get him wanting to exercise some of that in his art form. I just don't.
There's a better way to do it. I feel like
this could have had there could have been a couple edits. Like both of these issues could have been one issue, and it would have been fine. Like if it's just them helping out, like this family at Gettysburg, I could almost take that.
Yeah, like there's a better way of doing this where it's just not giving the information. It's like. And I've seen the argument that these are good issues for kids. Like, if you give this to like someone who's young who doesn't know this stuff yet, like maybe. Yeah. But the thing is, though, is I turn to that double page spread when they're going in front of the plaques, and all it is them reading off the plaques for the whole page, and there's a lot of text.
He literally says, why don't we read these plaques?
Yeah.
To John, who can read.
Big chunky text as well. It's like I turned that page and I saw the amount of text that were in those word balloons, and I have
to be honest. I didn't get through all this, but I skimmed because I find this stuff interesting. I do. When I want to read about it, I will go and read about it, and I do that. But I'm reading a comic. I'm not reading it like it's a textbook. I'm not here to read plaques.
But again, there's ways to do it in a comic. Because right after this, I read the 2nd issue of Brian Wood's Rebels series, the second series, and that's all history. That's about the Barbary War that happened around 1796, but the way that he does it by putting in the characters and talking around the events, it's completely different, so you can do textbook kind of information.
Here, why don't you put a plaque in the background with some of this information on, and we can read it, and then there can be an actual conversation happening instead of having your characters read plaques for 2 pages.
Do you know what this actually is? This is a lot journalists. This is a lot like exposition, right? In a movie, you try to make exposition as interesting as possible, because it's very easy to feel like it's just a lot of information, right? Yeah. And that's exactly what this is. This is like you do it, you interweave it, you make it interesting, you show it through the story that it's telling, and you make it interesting. Here, it is just a wall of information that doesn't really mean anything.
Literally. a wall.
It's
So
literally a wall.
I assume these. I'm not sure, but I assume these are just the real plaques because they're quoting. So he's just gone out there, written down the plaques word for word, and just transcribed it into and then have them read it out, and that's just lazy.
But yeah, so here, no, it is lazy, and like you have these two characters that are journalists, right? Especially Lois. Like Clark's whole thing is like, well, yeah, he's Superman. That the reason he gets his story is because he's closer to them, and he's not necessarily the best writer, but he's always the first on scene.
Yeah, but he always
kind of
tries.
cheating. Yeah, Lois though, I feel like you could have had Lois just consolidate that to John because they're in front of the Lost Soldier Memorial, and it's just like, look, this is important because these men fight for freedoms, and we've lost them. And
here's a word. It needs to be digestible.
Yeah, but again, you have these characters that don't need to be reading it off. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Don't read it off. Make it digestible. Translate it. Have the characters talk about it in a natural way that feels like something.
And this is the problem. We're saying, this is great give it to kids and they'll learn something. It's like, well, I don't necessarily know what these specific plaques say. I've never read them. But I still don't know what they say because I couldn't read it in this.
Because it was bloody boring. This is the thing. Like, it still has to work as a comic. It still has to work as entertainment. And I again, like I said with the last issue, I completely appreciate that this is in character for Superman to have all these feelings, to want to teach his son all these things. All of it's in character. The problem is, it's just the worst possible way to tell this story if you have to tell this exact set of things. Like, I feel like. You can have them go visit all these sites, but just have them talk about, like you say, or not even talk about them, just establish the fact that he's visiting these sites and not actually feel the need to educate the audience on every single detail that comes from them.
Yeah,
I think the idea is as well. Like, I'm sure if I wanted to read what these plaques said right now, I could probably Google it and see, this word for word. I'm sure I could. So why don't you go? This is where we are. This is the general message of it. Yeah, like at the end, when they stop quoting, Lois says, another war to end all wars with the ... And that's the stuff that makes sense in this. That's the only bit on that whole page that actually has any character in it. You get her feeling on it.
Yeah, you feel what she's saying about it. Now, the second time in this issue, I sighed heavily. So they're visiting this other site in Gettysburg, and they do this thing where, like, you can see the ghosts almost of where, like, they're taking photos, kind of thing. And that's, like, whatever, but that was fine, I guess, to a point. But then it gets to where they meet the family, and I turned the page, and I was at the start of a flashback, and I went, oh no. And I put the iPad down for a second, and I was just kind of like, I almost just want to stop reading this. I really do. And I powered through. I picked it back up and I read it. But that flashback was tedious to get through as well.
While I don't think it was good, I liked it. But I'm an American history nerd, so like seeing this perspective of a soldier from Gettysburg and what had happened, I like that. I don't necessarily want it in my Superman comic, though.
I definitely don't think this was as badly written as that bit with the plaques, though, because at least here it was telling a story.
Oh no, it wasn't as bad. But here's the thing. At this point, I was already pissed off at the issue, so I turned that page. I seen that it was a flashback about Gettysburg, and I just went, "Screw this! Piss off! I don't want this." I got angry.
I feel partly responsible because I had read this first early, and I let Pete know. I go, "Hey, bud, you're in for a trip based off of the last one."
I was in a bad mood when I got to this flashback. I legitimately was. I was annoyed. Especially since this run's been great, and then Black Dawn wasn't that good, and then these two issues. Like, I have never been so happy to see the words "next time" parallax at the bottom of the last page. I have never been happier to see the word parallax in my life.
Yeah.
No, me either.
God damn it.
I honestly think these issues are up there with the worst of some of the New 52 stuff. These two issues. No, I genuinely think that I struggled to read this one.
Oh, in that sense, okay, in that sense, but it's in character.
It's in character. Yeah. It's not bad in that sense, but
it's not
just as an issue
wrong, like the New 52 stuff was.
Right. Okay. It's not Superman.
But this is the lowest of this story that we've gotten since Rebirth that Tomasi's been
easily
and Gleason's been doing. It's easily the worst.
This is easily the worst. And I'll tell you this right now, when I'm rereading this run down the line, I'm skipping these two issues.
Yeah.
I'm never reading these two issues again. No way.
I barely read this one the first time round. I don't think I could get through it a second.
And it's such a shame because the art's pretty good. Like,
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
I like
no
it.
complaints
It's
on
got
that.
a classic feel.
And like we said, the ending's fine as well. Like, you know, like this family who are out there, they're celebrating the birthday of the soldier and their family who was never found. So Superman, like we say, gets up in the middle of the night. Lois gives him a little quibble. I'm surprised it took this long, and he uses his vision to scour the river to find him, and, you know, delivers them with a note saying, you know, 150 odd years or whatever has been long enough. You know, put an end to this.
Because that's why they're out there and they're celebrating, and that was nice because I know people that go to family members' graves to celebrate. You know, so that was a nice little, you know, slice of what's the word I'm trying to look for here? Tradition, I guess. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
They mean well. It just was executed poorly as possible.
Oh, sure, yeah. Like, I don't doubt the intentions at all. It's just this was annoying to read, and I was getting angry as I was reading it because it just was not. It felt like I was wasting my time, and it was just.
Yeah.
So.
And it was hard to talk about online without giving stuff away, because when people are like, "Oh, Superman in American history," that sounds like something great, and it's like, but then you read it, and it's not what you think it's going to be. And take this from someone that loves both so much, like.
That's it. And you know, you're saying, "Oh, the art's good," and it is, but he's wasted because they're just walking around talking. They're not. There's nothing. He doesn't get to do anything interesting.
How great would that plaque scene be if they were just silent and they were just taking it in, as a family? You know,
it'd be more effective because
Right,
I would get that it's impacting them and they're silent because it's like they're speechless because of it. It would actually say more to me as a reader than them just reading it all verbatim.
Do you know what? Keep in Lois's Another War to End All Wars.
War to End All Wars.
Yeah.
At the end of the page, you know, after you see them like walk through it and see these plaques,
it would be a million times more effective. It would actually matter. It would have an impact.
That's it.
Especially
it kind of
with John planting that little flag at the end too. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
It's just, this was not good.
But hey, Parallax and Metropolis, which I haven't thought of those entities in a good long while, so I'm interested to see how this works.